Go big or go home with 4K televisions. I have in my living room now the 86 UK65 from LG, and it is not the most expensive 4K television you can buy. It's not the biggest 4K television you can buy, but it's a great compromise of both. So, for one thing, it's an 86-inch television, so it is fraggin' huge. It's not the 101-inch or the 110-inch that you can get from some other brands, but at 86 inches, it's big. And it feels extra big when you're sitting in a living room because it's bright. You know, when you're doing the projector thing in a dark room, yes, you can get 300 inches. I have that set up. But it doesn't feel quite the same as this. You know, notice this is higher than I am tall and basically as, you know, wider than my arms would go. The LG I picked out because it's under $2,500. It's got the lowest latency for display, meaning that from when a signal is fed to it to when it displays is the shortest possible, and that affects your gaming. So in game mode, this is an amazing television. The latency is so low that it's basically imperceptible. It's the lowest of any television on the market in any size, in any flavor. Like, there's not a faster 4K, there's not a faster 1080p, there's not a faster standard definition. This is the lowest latency television you can buy. And that makes a big difference if you're playing Anthem or Apex or Fortnite or any of the first-person shooters, Black Ops, blah, 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 I can go on and on. But what's really cool to me is each input can have its own settings. So while in my game mode for my Xbox, I can have it set to game and have ultra low latency, turn off all the MPEG artifact obfuscation that goes on, the denoising, turn off the dynamic contrast, turn off all of those things that slow down how fast it renders and with the quality that it renders at. And then on a Netflix channel, I can say, I want cinema mode with the 3:2 pull down so I get that film effect and all of those things. And then on a different input, like the Roku box, I can set the settings totally different. And this will even do that per app. So when you're using the smart TV functions, Netflix and Hulu don't have to have the same settings. And this is really useful for stations like HBO Go and Hulu and Netflix, because Netflix uses 4K, Hulu does not, and HBO does not. And so it even goes a step further in that in Netflix, when you're in Dolby Vision mode, you can have a different set of settings than you have for Netflix in HDR mode. And this is important because this television will accept HDR10, Dolby Vision, 12-bit, every format you can throw at it, it accepts. And it will even change the gamma settings per input or per setting. So you can have the exact perfect picture for whatever input you're working off of. And to me, that level of control might be overkill for some people, but I used to do video compression for a living. I was on the MPEG LA board. Like, that is, to me, the ultimate thing. Like, I was going to upgrade my receiver because my receiver doesn't accept 4K 60, accepted 4K 24 and 4K 30. But instead of upgrading my receiver, at least right now, I'm using the Toslink to feed back to the receiver. And so all of my inputs are controlled by the television. And it's got enough inputs to handle everything I need, especially since it's a smart television and natively handles the Netflix, the Hulus, and all of those kinds of things. So I basically have the PC, the Xbox, and the Roku box, and the Nintendo Switch. And it does an amazing job with all of those things. And if you feed it SD signals or 1080p signals, it does an amazing job up converting, to the point that I wish that there was a way that I could tell Amazon that I would like to watch things in SD, because often the Amazon HD versions aren't as good as the up conversion that the television would do. And so, to me, this is an amazing television. And the 86 UK65 is a horrible naming convention, but it kind of makes sense because UK65 is the guts of the television. And so if you're getting the 65-inch or any of the other sizes, it's just 65 UK65 or 86 UK65, or if they made, you know, any other size, the first two digits would be the size. Now, some of you are mainly like, oh, I really prefer Sony's, or I really prefer whatever. Well, truth is, LG makes most of the panels in those things. There's only two big manufacturers of the panels for 4K televisions right now, Samsung and LG. So if you buy a Sony, you're getting an LG panel most of the time. Now, Samsung's Q-Dot technology is pretty cool. It has much blacker blacks than this television has, but it doesn't go as bright as this television does. So in a well-lit room like my living room, I care more about how bright the television is than how black the television is. And if you turn off the eco mode, this thing will burn your eyes out with a bright scene. Like, it is too bright to look at sometimes when you're looking at like BBC's Planet Earth, and it's like, hey, look, there's the sun, and you're like, yeah, you just burned my eyes out. The black levels don't go as black as they could, but they go black enough for a dark room, for a bright room, or even a reasonably dark room. Now, some people will complain that that's just not how it should be, but the truth is, I have a projector for the total blacks, and I have this for playing games, for watching the news, for just hanging out with friends, because let's face it, who wants to sit in a totally dark room with your friends and do nothing? You can't chat, you can't drink, you can't do anything. So this is a very livable cinema scenario for me. 86 inches is not as big as my 300-inch display for my projector, but it is big. And I'm a big guy, 6'2", 6'3", and yeah, this is mounted fairly high, waist high, but this is the right height. And it's taller than me. And this is a big room, so it handles it. But this is a big TV. It just dwarfs the 65-inch that it replaced. So for me, this was the right TV. Under $2,500, lowest latency panels, best number of input settings, deep control over everything in the input settings, from gamma to black levels, to white levels, to contrast, to telecine modes, to 3.2 pull down modes. Every control you could think of is in there. So you can get the picture exactly how you want it. Whether that's the right way or not, that's up to you. But you will get it exactly how you want it. And that's worth quite a bit to me. So for my money, the LG 86 UK65 is the TV to have. If you step down a size, you don't get the 120 hertz refresh backlighting, which is worth quite a bit to me. And so if you've got the size, go with the 86.